What is going on, guys? It has been a while, but here we are in a new room, a new environment, ready to renew myself. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about an album that I could never really get into. As someone who loves In the Airplane Over the Sea, a lot of people suggested that I go listen to The Glow Part 2 by the Microphones. If you don't know what The Glow Part 2 is, it's an album by Phil Elverum, who goes under the alias The Microphones, also Mount Erie occasionally. He's the singer-songwriter of this album, and he also produced it. Now, I listened to this project a few months ago. I got about halfway through, and I really didn't like it. Hear me out before you turn off the video. To start, I didn't like Phil's vocals all that much. I guess I was expecting like a real singer, like a really strong vocalist to come out and kill it, but that's not what Phil is. A lot of the times it didn't feel like he was trying to hit the correct notes. It just felt like he was singing it however he wanted to sing it. Another thing that bothered me about this the first time I listened to it were the weird switch-ups from ambient to back to folk ballads to even noise rock at some points. This album was so weird to me, and I usually love weird ideas when it comes to music, so I figured if I kept coming back, maybe eventually I would get it, but I just didn't. Until now. I'm in a pretty weird time in my life, and the last month or so has kind of been an existential crisis, to say the least. When I want to stop thinking about something, get my mind off something, or think about that thing on a deeper level, I turn to music. The problem was, though, I had no idea what to listen to. I wanted to find something that encapsulated everything that I was going through. And then one day it hit me. I needed to go back to The Glow Part 2 and give it another shot. And I am glad I did. So to give my brief summary of this album, and keep in mind that this is my summary, nothing I say here may be what Phil was actually going for while recording this. These are just my thoughts. To me, The Glow Part 2 makes you feel like nothing matters, while at the same time, everything matters. It's about feeling small in this giant world, and I think that's what the cover is trying to represent. Elephants are enormous creatures, and all this elephant on the cover is trying to do is stay warm next to the fire. It's too big, though. It's actually a direct parallel about what humans go through, but in the opposite way. As humans, we are the small creatures, but sometimes our problems and fear become so big that everything just seems to fall out of our hands. It's just like the elephant in the picture who ends up blowing everything away with his trunk. Which takes us into the first track. This track means so many different things to me. The first one meaning letting important things get away from you. Another interpretation I have is the wind blowing represents moving forward in life and relationships. But I think the meaning that makes the most sense is the literal one, wanting wind to blow, wanting to feel something. Sometimes you can get through something, but then you're just left wanting more. And sometimes you just don't know what that more is that you're looking for. That in turn results in feeling empty and apathetic. You want to feel something, even if it's just a gust of wind. So now that we talked about some of the themes in The Glow Part 2, I want to go into my thoughts on the instrumentals and the sound of the album in general, now that I've given it a couple more chances. I Want Wind to Blow is the perfect, gorgeous opener. Phil's quiet vocals that are being sung over the lo-fi guitar strums work perfectly, but the song doesn't truly shine until the second half when everything starts to get a bit noisier. There's a new riff that plays about halfway through, and then later on it turns into the noise rock, which this is one of the examples of noise rock being done well on this project, and I love the inclusion of it on this song. The noise rock section in I Want Wind to Blow is so perfect because the beginning is real quiet, it makes you feel really small, and then the second half it gets really noisy to be a direct contrast of seeing things fall down around you. So I'm not going to do a track by track review of every song, but I do want to talk about the title track, The Glow Part 2. The glow is supposed to be a representation of everything Phil held dearly, and that's why at the beginning of the song he says the glow is gone. And that is also why the gleam, which will show up later on the track list of the album, is there. Because if something is gleaming, it's not quite glowing, and it's just temporary happiness, while the glow is supposed to be permanent. Instrumentally and vocally, this may be one of the tougher songs to get into if you're a first-time listener. Loud synths and drums play at the beginning of the track, and then it starts to fade back into that signature lo-fi guitar sort of sound that Phil is known for. Pianos accompany the song as it progresses forward, and then around the halfway mark, Phil sings chillingly over no percussion. "My blood flows harshly" is one of the most iconic lines in all of music, and if you don't feel some kind of emotion from the way Phil delivers it, I'm convinced you're a robot. The song then goes on to wrap up with a very moody melody. Throughout the rest of the project, there's some really interesting and risky instrumental choices that, for the most part, pay off. The horns on the moon are a great accompaniment to Phil's vocals. Keys on "My Roots Are Strong and Deep," the Gleam Part 2, and Map specifically are incredible. The lo-fi guitars contribute to some of my favorite parts on the project, and Phil's singing doesn't bother me anymore. In fact, I kinda like it now. The only areas I'm still not fond of on this album, however, are the noise rock and the ambient drone parts. I don't care much for either Something track or I Want to Be Cold. Samurai Sword is one of the noisier tracks I couldn't get into, and I feel like Map is a much better attempt at noise rock than it. I don't think it matters who you are going to get some sort of message out of this album. I think everyone should give it a listen, and maybe you'll even learn something new about yourself that you didn't know was there before. The Glow Part 2 makes you realize how small we truly are. We're all just tiny specks aimlessly wandering around a giant rock. Whether that makes the concept of life scarier or less scary to you is up to you. I feel that it works in both ways. When you're in a rut, remember that nothing matters, and you'll get through it. At the same time, though, if you say nothing matters, then you might wonder what's the point of even being here. That's what the Glow Part 2 is. If this specific life is all we have to do what we want to do. Go take some risks. It might make you feel better. You only have one life, so try and make sure you do everything you want to do in that life. So often we're so concerned about the past or even the future that we forget moving on is a part of life. I know not everything I've said in the past minute or so is about the Glow Part 2 specifically, but if you're listening to this album right now or watching videos on this album right now, there's a good chance you're not in a good place, and I wanted to do my part and maybe help you. Or you're just my friend and I posted this and you clicked on it. Hi friends! But anyway, get on with your life. Go do everything you want to do before you die. Stop taking life so seriously and stop waiting for wind to blow. I'll see you guys.